On the YM, we need to pull back and test the ribbon. On the RTY, we need to pull back and test the ribbon. And these two here just need to get out of their no trade zones. Preferably on the long side for both of them because we were in uptrends on both. Look at that. Say it and it almost happens. Preferably on the long side. This could be just a little head fake to the upside where it's breaking out of the chop a little bit. Here's the purple arrow now. Purple arrow on both of these just triggered at the same exact time. That's because they both the NQ. That explains it. They both the NQ. Once again, wow, that's really cool. The ES and the NQ are doing exactly the same thing. Hang on. Here we go. All right. So I was saying that if the ribbon is spread and you get a purple arrow, then that purple arrow is good. And that one just proved it right there. Okay, and for those of you guys who don't know, the purple arrow here, I'm in this, actually over here somewhere. I'm long. I'm just gonna stop right there and get out of it. The purple arrow is part of the context PP. All right, it's only in the context PP. It's not in the context. This is the context. It does not have a purple, I don't think. I'm sure I made it just part of the passport and stuff. Yeah, it is just part of the passport. That green arrow over there on the NQ is tradable. Okay, if you wanted to trade that, it's tradable from right here. All right, we'll see what happens with it, but my stop should be 20 ticks away. Hopefully, oh, it's not. That's why I didn't have a target on that last one. Okay, let me throw a stop on here. That should be 20 ticks away. I'm gonna get ready to bump it up. I'm just gonna bump it right here. Right now, I think that's 4 points away. That's 16 ticks away right there. And it just stopped me out. I have the strategy on there, and the strategies aren't working properly. That's what was wrong with that. That's why I didn't hit my 30 tick target on that last one. All right. So I shut the strategies off everywhere. Good. And my Russell needs to get back to 19 contracts. So does the yes. All right. So the yes is pulling back down to test the ribbon right here. Now that purple arrow where the ribbon was spread. And it was a pretty darn good trade right there. Right over here right now, the outer bands are blue. We just hit the black line, so you're not going to get any kind of a purple arrow on the yes. The outer bands are white here on the YM and white here on the Russell, so you're not going to get any purple arrow there. The Russell could still give you a green arrow, but nothing else is going to give you any kind of an arrow right now on the long side. And there's the green arrow on the Russell, that's what I was just saying. Right now, the Russell is running opposite to everything else all day. So here, I'm long right here on the Russell. My stop is 10 ticks away. Okay. So we'll see what happens here with this Russell. Watch the NQ over here, guys. The NQ is about to give a short trade too. Now, I'm not sure that the slingshot's keeping up properly over here. It seems like I should have pulled out of the overbought there with 3 down closes in a row. I want to do something really quick with this, and then back to this, and I can go find my Dom. Okay, so no, it was correct. And all right, and there's the trade over there on the NQ. The blue arrow short right there on the NQ. Okay, and the Russell is my Russell. Here's my Russell. Okay, so the Russell's still working out here. And I'm going to throw my stop at break even on that. Okay, and I'm going to lock in 4 ticks on the Russell. It should go all the way up here. The swing high is 144, so it should go up here to the swing high. I'm just going to bump that up to the swing high. It's got some good numbers right up in there, so it should make its way up there. Blue arrow over here worked out just fine if you could get into it, but it didn't put in the lower swing, so you're not going to take anything after that right now in that direction. Okay. Slide that over there. YM. YM's got nothing. All right, we're getting up there now on the Russell. I am at plus 10 ticks right here. It should go further. Look at the big number right there. That's at the swing high right there. That big number right there. It's going to go up to that. I don't know if it's going to go straight up there, but it's going to go up there. It'd be ideal if it went straight up there. I'm just going to lock in 6 ticks on this. 6, and that's just 5. All right, I'm out with 5, but we'll get the next one. We'll get it on the next run right here. We should. This did not put in a lower swing, so we don't have a trade right here. Okay, did not put in a lower swing, so we do not have a trade.
The Russell is up 3.25% on the session.
That's crazy.
67 points.
I wish I would have bought those options on Monday when I did that. I should have positioned myself better for that. But the Russell is right now getting up to the price swing high, what I was just saying. And that big number in the DOM was up at 44.00 right here. Right. So it should go through that and get up to the next one, which is 5 ticks higher than that. All right. Now we have just want to have a higher swing over here. Not quite yet. Now it's just 1 tick higher swing. So what is going on in the big picture with all these things? So they really turning around here? Let's go look. NQ, no. No. Now, eventually, if we go sideways, we start to go sideways here. Look all the way back over here, July 5th. If we start to go sideways here on the NQ, the black line is going to cross over the MA1. And then we're going to pull back up to the BBC, which is up here. So that would be about right. If we ended the day on the NQ right about here, it would be about right, I would think. The YM, the black line crossed down below the BBC. We've already bounced off the BBC. So we're back where we started the day on the YM, and that would be about normal, I would think. Probably end up right about here by the end of the day. And the ES, wow, the ES did this huge retracement. Huge retracement. That is giant. I'm surprised that it did this huge retracement like this. But now that it's done it, to me, this is a big head, big giant head, right? Right in the middle of some shoulders that it hasn't developed yet. So here's your head, here's a shoulder. There's another shoulder being developed over here. So it's probably gonna go sideways for a while, I would think, in this range over here. On the ES. That's what I would think. I don't know, but that's what I would think. On the ES. And on the Russell, you know, it's starting to run again. This is just unbelievable. This thing is not retraced. All that and no tracement. So if we watch the way the Russell comes together right here, and this, I'm trying to do this so you can see it. See how the black step line, the bar just closed. This 30-minute bar just closed and just brought the black step line inside the MA1. So that should bring the Russell down here, right? In the next probably 2 hours, it should bring it down to here. And then by the end of the day, it might end up at the swing high again. It might, but it should bring it back down to here, is what I'm thinking by the end of the day. I don't know. We'll talk about it tonight in the partners meeting. It's time for me to pass it back out to fabulous Phoenix, Arizona, in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain America's largest city park. Dwayne, if you are ready.
Just give me 1 second here. Okay. Da, da, da. Click here. Click here. And can you see my screen?
I can. I can see your screen.
What the heck is going on with my... All right, and I changed presenter, right?
You sure did.
Well, because my audience view that
I
I
see the
normally
best.
have. Okay, as long as you can say it, that's, I'll worry about it later.
That's what I'm looking at. I'm
Okay.
looking at the best one. Move your cursor over it though, so I can see your cursor. There it is. Okay.
Okay, so everything's fine, just something wigged out on my end.
Yep.
Okay, doke. Recap of the morning session.
6 minutes, 2 trades, 28.50.
Great job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, guys, we're going to pick up where we left off, but I got to go kind of quick because I have a meeting coming up at 11 o'clock. We already covered the ES, the Dow. We opened, we pulled back to the BBC. Price always reverts to the mean. Pullback held, the pullback holds more often than not. That sent us up to the target. Then we had some wild action based on the CPI numbers. But again, the pullback to the BBC held. When that black step line crosses blue and climbing, you should expect a pullback to the BBC. Now what's happened, you can see that this green bullish candle ran into the black step line, which we know is potential resistance when it gets directly above price. So resistance is now sending the market back to support, potential support at the BBC. If we trade through the BBC, you should expect support here. Now that support is because of this bullish cross earlier in the day. When you have a bullish cross that leads to an extended move, the first time price revisits that area will almost always be good support. I could give you no better example of that concept. There was never any reason to think about the short target because we never got below this weekly zone. Okay. All right, Russell. We consolidated all night long, and then bang, we popped up to the target. And then we flew through the zone. And that is the highest weekly trading zone this week. Very unusual market behavior. Now, notice here, step line crossed. We've not gotten a pullback yet. Price has traded through the step line. So your next resistance is potentially this high, 101.46. And because blue and climbing is directly over price at about 21.51, that's also potential resistance. There are no higher zones. Now, based on 15 years of history, by close of business tomorrow, we expect the price of the Russell to be at the highest weekly zone or below. Have there ever been weeks where we closed above the highest zone in any market or closed below the lowest zone in any market? Yes, in 15 years, there's been a handful, maybe 2 handfuls of times. It happens. That's the truth about trading. Okay. Jump to the NQ. The NQ opened right here. And for those of you that perhaps weren't here at the beginning, all of our members and trial members got these targets last night at 6:20 p.m. Eastern. All of them. Okay. Now the weekly trade. Now the CTAs are daily. They come out shortly after the Globex open, so 20 minutes after the open last night. The weekly trading zones, though, once they're published Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern, they're carved in stone for the entire. They don't change in any way whatsoever. When price drops to a zone, we expect support. When it rallies up to a zone, we expect resistance. Resistance sends the market looking for support. Support sends the market looking for resistance. Resistance found sends us to support. Bang, we hit the target. And the markets roll over, and we come down to the short target through the zone. But when we hit this zone right here, we spiked it. Now, this is what's called a slice. This was a red candle all the way down. But before the 30-minute candle ended, price had retraced back to the zone it sliced through, and continued in the direction of the slice. And we're now consolidating at a zone, but it is not the lowest weekly zone. Crude oil. Here's where we opened last night. We're above the BBC, so we're thinking long. As soon as we get above red and falling, as it becomes blue and climbing, from 82.55 to 82.65, bang, there's your goal for the day. And then we get basically to the zone. Resistance sends us looking for support, which we found at the zone, and we bounced up to resistance, which gave us another leg down. And this support is from yesterday, bounced us back up to the BBC. Pullback holds more often than not. That sent us down basically to the short target, this bullish cross. Price has now gotten above the BBC, and it is once again attempting to move higher. So, gold, here's where we opened last night. 20 minutes into the life of this candle, these targets were in the hands of all members and trial members. Red and falling turned to blue and climbing. Price got above the BBC. Bang. We hit the target. Let's say you got long around 23.82. That's a $300 per contract move up to the target. We then consolidated, then blasted off, consolidated at the zone, blasted off, consolidated at the zone. Now the step line is crossed blue and climbing. So under normal conditions, you would anticipate a retracement back to the BBC. We could find support and start consolidating at the zone. If we do that, then the BBC will rise to meet price. Silver. Here's where we opened last night, blue and climbing below us. We get above the BBC and we run right to the target. It only takes 2 pennies to get your goal for the day. This candle opened at 31.16 and ran up 8 pennies, $400 per contract traded in that one candle. Consolidation, tempted the zone higher, couldn't quite get there. Pull back to the BBC, got another bounce, pull back to the BBC, and then the rocket ship stopped at the weekly zone. Now there's 2 more zones above that, but as you can see, when price rallies up to a zone, we expect resistance until proven otherwise. And see how the step line crossed and how we pulled back to the BBC. And in pulling back to the BBC, we caught a bounce. Now we were able to get a little bit above the step line, but look what's happened. We're rolling over. We're going to come back down, possibly. Now where we sit right now, that step line could actually become support because it's directly below price. I got a feeling we're headed back to the BBC. Last but not least, the euro. This is where we opened last night. Consolidated at the zone, leg, retracement, pull back to the zone, held, and the BBC, the support times 2, and then boom, right up to the target. And pull back to the BBC, and we make a mad run. There's the highest zone way up there. But the step line crossed, pull back to the BBC, and the fact that we now have red and falling overhead tells me that this pullback to the BBC may not hold. Okay? No promises, no guarantees. That's my best read. I'm sorry to everyone tuned in via our YouTube channel. I lost my internet connection. I don't know if the recording was lost in the ether somewhere, because I said some really good stuff at the beginning. So hopefully YouTube captured it. If you see 2 videos for today, the first one will be the beginning of the broadcast, and the second one will be this part where I'm talking right now. Okay, we have changed. We did this at the beginning of the broadcast. We changed our fib extensions. Okay, we got a new all-time historic high, and we know that the deep pockets aren't doing any buying right now. Okay. To become a member, go to mytradingiq.com. If you have questions, call 949-42-E-MINI or send an email to support@cfrn.net. 9 out of 10 new traders fail because they do not have someone to teach them how to trade. Imagine trying to become a baker, a banker, or even a candlestick maker without someone to teach you how to do the job. That would be very hard, right? You could buy books, you could watch videos, nothing wrong with those things, but they're not a replacement for a living, breathing teacher, putting on, taking off trades live in real time, explaining every move he makes, every trade he takes, the rule behind it. Remember, it's rules-based trading. And answering every question you ask while you trade along in your demo account as you attempt to qualify to go live. Along with 2 hours in the live training room, as a passport holder, you have access to one-on-one private mentoring at no extra charge. The strategy you learn, the indicators you own as a passport holder, are fluid across all markets and all time frames. Futures, stocks, crypto, Forex, ETF, it doesn't matter. Price flows the same across all markets and all time frames. Support to resistance, back to support, back to resistance, over and over, again and again. It's a never-ending cycle. On our YouTube channel, there's over 2,600 daily episodes where you can go and see back 8 years that price is doing the same thing, going from support, resistance, back to support, back to resistance, over and over, again and again, never-ending cycle. Passport is everything a trader needs, all under one roof, at one low price. Oh, and I failed to mention, as a passport holder, you have around-the-clock support, which is pretty sweet. For the last 3 days, we've talked about the joys of heaven as our good word for the day. Today, I want to encourage you to learn how to control your anger. I have anger issues. I do not walk on water, and I get angry. But I'm working on it. Not the walking on water part, but the anger part. Proverbs 19:11. Sensible people control their temper. They earn respect by overlooking wrongs. When it comes to anger, here's what you need to know. It isn't a psychological disorder. Everybody gets angry. And it's not necessarily a sin. Like a fast-flowing river, it can generate constructive or destructive energy and be unleashed negatively or harnessed positively. Anger is commonly misunderstood as something that's done to us by others or by circumstances. We say, I couldn't help it. They pushed my buttons. In the Garden of Eden, Adam said, the woman you gave me, she made me do it. Since the fall of man in Genesis, we've claimed to be victims of people, the devil, in circumstances beyond our control. Now, a funny side note. As I was raising my son Gabriel, things would happen from time to time, and I would do or say something that got him upset. And I would say I must have said this to him 500 times while he was growing up. I'd say, hey son, did I just get your goat? And he'd go, yeah. I go, you know how to stop that? He goes, how? don't keep goats. It's the same with people pushing your buttons. If you got no buttons, they can't push them. Now, my son's pretty smart, so after about the 10th time, he knew the answer. Yes, Dad, don't keep goats. Okay. But I was still able to get his goat all the time. It's just a dad thing. Okay. This belief becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. This victim thing. Whether we're victims of people or devil or circumstances beyond our control. Because it's something we believe, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, calling us to feel helpless and at the mercy of external forces. What does God's word say about our anger? Sensible people control their temper. That means when sensible people get angry, they control their emotions, no matter what the external trigger is. The answer is always an internal response. One of the fruits of the Spirit is self-control. You can read about that in Galatians 5:22. Staying filled with God's Spirit is the key to anger management. Instead of feeding your anger by telling yourself, "You can't get away with treating me like that," try thinking this. No matter what you say or do, God's Spirit lives in me, and I have self-control. Now, you don't got to say that to the other person, but you definitely need to say it to yourself. The Bible says in Titus 2:11, the grace of God teaches us to say no to ungodliness and worldly passions, and to live self-controlled, upright, and godly lives in this present age. So, friend, do yourself a favor and learn to control your anger. And that's our good word today. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you, mercy, and with His grace. And I'll see you at the bell.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading E-mini futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.